VAT, who needed some assistance on how do they account for the VAT.
Right.
And so we also have a just specific focus as we go along, and we see the need for our topic.
Before we get into tax and taxation and the implications of that on business licenses, I wanted to talk a little bit about the other benefit of why we should register our businesses, because there are some legal protections and operational credibility. It's important to know that businesses are licensed and duly regulated to operate. So talk to us about those legal protections and the credibility component and why that's so important to businesses, young or old.
Yeah, you said it. It helps the business to validate for customer satisfaction that they have a business license, that you are operating or you are doing business with someone which is in the bracket. We have a challenge sometimes identifying individuals. You want to ensure that the trademark and your patent, those stuff, that legal assistance that you have. And then also, as you consider the structure of the legal structure of your company, as you move into a non-individual, that's corporate entity, you set aside the liability compared to your individual liability, compared to the organization's liability.
When we think of the Department of Inland Revenue, the only three-letter word that comes out is tax, right? The reality of it is everyone ought to pay their fair share of taxes. We get that. But there are a lot of individuals who don't really understand that I may have gotten a license once. Next year, I have to prove that I am tax compliant. Let's talk about why that's so important for the renewal of your business license.
Yes. So in the renewal of the business license, we've more focused on taxes. As you go from year to year, we hope that you are compliant with the other regulators. And it's important that we have that relationship with the regulators, that they would tell us if there is any infraction. We've made it easier as the consumer or the registrant to just submit, declare, and if there is any taxes paid, and move on. We ask that individuals be honest with their returns.
Say that again?
Honest.
Okay, all right.
We want that because it also helps the other agencies. Our database are shared with the Department of Statistics.
Right.
And so it gives them an understanding of where trends are moving. If you are not renewing your license, you're not telling us or declaring how many you employ, then, or if the truthful of the turnover of the company, we have a lack of information data source that can be used for helpful information. For example, there's always a need for someone wants to know what's the demographic for where they're moving to. And so if a person wants to be interested in, let's say, cosmetology, and they want to know how many people are in Exuma, if the individuals in Exuma are not renewing on an annual basis, there is a limited information as related to for that area. So we're asking individuals, first of all, declare the honest amount.
Right, right.
And we all pay our part in taxes. And the government has made it easy. Those who are declaring under $250,000 now do not even need an accounting certification.
Right.
And if you're under $100,000, the license is free.
Right. So then this is part and parcel of why we see now when we go on certain websites to register our business, to do business with any other business in the Bahamas, they ask for a business license, they ask for a TIN number, and they ask if you're NIB compliant.
Yes.
And this is part of the evolving landscape of doing business. So businesses really need to pay attention to the other entities in government that they need to be compliant with.
Yes. Yeah. So there's the tax compliance certificate, and that says that you are reached a certain level with 7 basic taxes across the government. And so if the government is giving you funds or you're getting a line of assistance, exemption on items, they're asking that you at least to be compliant. If I'm going to give you something, at a minimum, you're compliant with the taxes.
And that's fair.
That's fair.
That's fair.
And now you see that the banks, if you have a business account, they should be asking you every year for a copy of your current business license. by March of the year, they should be asking you for a copy of your annual business license.
So this has certainly been an exciting conversation thus far. When we come back, we'll talk about the impact of property tax on business licenses and in that process. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back from this break, we will get right into our mentorship moment with Ariel Pinder.
We have to be mindful that as much as we want touristic development, what impacts the fisheries? Over-coastal development, destruction of mangroves, overzealousness of the industry. We have a new movement called do-it-yourself fishing. That is anglers who come to the Bahamas, they don't engage in hiring a guide. Because of this approach, you are going to have people who are going to exhaust the resources.
This is an industry that's preserved. It should be for Bahamian guides only. We have the DIYs coming in here, and they're destroying our flats.
We try not to overfish certain areas, so we'll fish a certain area and we'll back off for a while because we don't want the fish to feel too much pressure.
It's not just using the buzzwords of the environment and the ecology. The tourists can be educated that the more you support local ownership, people are doing it obviously the right way, the more the economic circulation in the communities.
I think the most critical thing is accountability, and that accountability by way of legislation, both the act and regulations to govern fly fishing in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
I look at conservation efforts and the regulation that I've seen to protect the industry that's in the developed world. All of those jurisdictions have implemented strong regulation to protect their fisheries. We are way behind, but we do have a movement and a consciousness. We know where we need to be. Those are our resources, and we have to make an exerted effort to protect it because that's the only gift that we have been given. And if we don't protect that, then we lose everything.
Building the lodge, I understood clearly the mission to continue what my father started. From this lodge, it has served as the headquarters. We finally got legislation passed in 2016, and it legitimized the guiding profession. We pushed to get the program established into BAMSI in the training of the next generation of guides, but it extends way beyond that.
We need more Bahamians in the industry who are doing the research to provide the information to the industry, that is to fishermen and to everybody who benefits from the resources.
We don't know the resources in this country. We grew up just hearing about sun, sand, and sea.
It is going to be through education and awareness, whether it's within our schools, whether it's in our communities, to conserve the environment, that is going to sustain the fly fishing industry.
Well, the future of fly fishing in the company, I think fly fishing is a very, very unique spot. I think it's going to get better because the guides are now being all certified. They're all getting proper knowledge of handling and how to run the whole system.
If you're a youngster and you want to get into this, it's a job like any other job. You got to live it. You got to love it.
Young entrepreneurs coming in, you want that kind of interest. You want that kind of drive and desire. You want to carry that. You want to become the product.
Tiny Tots was birthed about a year after I gave birth to my daughter. I was looking for better alternatives to feed her. Organic was on top of my list, and the options were very few here and limited. So I started with deliveries and online orders, and it just went from there. I'm passionate about the business because I'm passionate about health. Health for me is something close to home because I have a lot of family members who oftentimes, before the age of 50, are diagnosed with some sort of non-communicable disease. I realized that it starts from young. Automatically, people assume that organic is expensive, and organic isn't necessarily expensive, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring a product that was readily available for persons from all walks of life. I wanted something that all socioeconomic classes could have access to and be able to feed their children with healthier options. So Tiny Tots is all about organic. One of my major milestones that I'm proud of is the fact that I'm able to scale the way that I envisioned from the very onset. SBDC helped me with that tremendously with the loan and the grant funding that I got. From the onset, they were very helpful. They made sure that I had everything that I need to run a proper business, making sure that the business was not only profitable, but also sustainable. You know, and I figured that if we can get a nation of people to start eating better from their younger, we don't have to try and force it into their diets as they get older, or even worse, when they find out that they're sick.
Are you ready to take the next step in growing your business? Check your eligibility for our guaranteed loan program at sbdcbahamas.com/GLP or call 461-7232 to learn more about how the SBDC can support your business.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Hi, everyone. I'm Ariel Pinder, your host for the Mentorship Minute. Today's tip is all about cash flow management, one of the most crucial aspects of running a successful business. Effective cash flow management means not only knowing how much money is coming into your business, but also how much money is going out. Start by creating a monthly cash flow statement so you can track your revenue and expenses. By staying on top of these figures, you can spot trends, predict shortfalls, and avoid the surprise of an empty bank account. Remember, when cash flow is tight, prioritize payments to essential vendors and negotiate extended terms when possible. This helps keep operations running smoothly while giving you some flexibility. The Small Business Development Center wants to help you succeed as you grow your business. When you need help developing your business, reach out to us via sbdcbahamas.com.
Thank you, Ariel. As we wrap up this episode, I'd like to thank our special guests, Dexter Fernando and Charlene Barton, for joining us. In the last segment, you mentioned something about the 7 other taxable agencies or areas. Most people probably don't even know what those 7 areas are. Help us understand what those other 7 taxable agencies or areas that we must be compliant with.
Okay, so when you submit for tax compliance with the department, we check 7 different agencies. We check the National Insurance Board. We also check the courts. We also check immigration, customs, and we check our in-house real property tax, value-added tax, and business license.
Aha. So all of those agencies essentially verify that I am now able or capable, qualified to submit or resubmit for reissuance of a tax. Okay, excellent. So that makes up your tax compliance comment. 7 of them, I can guarantee you most people didn't even realize that. And so that's very, very, very good information to know. So thank you so much for that.
Welcome.
In recent times, there's been a lot of conversation about obtaining our stamp, right? That's correct. It's been somewhat of an ambiguous comment about the stamp. Tell us, what is that stamp that businesses must attain in order to be in compliance?
Okay, so they're talking about VAT stamp, and that's on realty transactions. We have found that, unfortunately, it's when individuals come after the end of their mortgage and they get that, supposed to get that clear title, or what people call the Bahamas burning of their mortgage, they realize that their documents were never stamped. So documents from the 60s, the 70s have not been stamped. Some commercial banks might have outsourced that transaction or that activity to someone, and someone around the line dropped the ball. So now the Bahamas government has introduced an amnesty period that ends on November 30 at 11:59 p.m. where we are allowing individuals to check their documents, check their conveyances, check their deeds, check their inter vivo gifts, and ensure that there's either an exempt stamp or where the fees on that transaction has been paid to government. Note, I'm not talking about the mortgage, but the actual conveyance document has neither been stamped, neither been registered, neither declared. So what we found out is that individuals only find this out when there is a dispute about a property. Unfortunately, we have individuals who are selling the same property to multiple persons and are assuming that those individuals have passed. And that's where the challenge of in-house financing. And I always recommend that individuals get a separate lawyer from that of who's doing the transaction for them. But check your documents. I'm asking for grandchildren to mothers and fathers to check their parents' documents and ensure that they're stamped. And doing this amnesty, so what this amnesty talks about, we will stamp the document at the value at the time of when it should have come to the department in 70s or the 60s or the 80s. What the Act really says is you should stamp it at current market value. So if you have a house on that property and you purchase it at vacant land, we're supposed to stamp you currently at the value of everything on that property.
Wow. There's a lot of information that you shared today that the average Bahamian simply was not even aware of. So as we evolve as a developing country and as we adopt new ways of doing business, the information gap is also going to be needed to be closed. And we're happy that you're here today because the SBDC, who remains a center of resource, a resource center for small businesses, is also now moving to the point where we are accessing information from your entities and also using your links on our website so that our clients can actually have access to these. One of the things that hopefully we can do in the future is these 7 agencies that you just talked about, ensure that we have links on our sites so that our customers can actually see these things. Yes. So as we wrap up our time together, final thoughts as we evolve, and we've been talking about this whole evolution of business. Any final thoughts that you would offer to our entrepreneurs?
Well, I'd like to say, as you're going into business, you're important to us. The entrepreneur is important. It stimulates growth in the economy. I would say find someone, find a friend, find an SBDC. Do your market research. Even find a friend that could help you understand the materials, read, figure out what you're going into before you make that step into becoming a business. What is the regulator? What is necessary? So find someone that you can trust with your idea, and then let's see how best to navigate where you are. Especially if you're thinking about for 2025, you want a business license, start the process now of seeing what is necessary to become a valid business registrant within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Charlene, final thoughts?
Yeah, and in starting that process, you can go to our website. Like I said, we have YouTube videos, check our social media handles. You know, they assist you in navigating our system.
Thank you so much. The Department of Inland Revenue has been well represented today, and we thank you both. We hope that this discussion has provided you with useful information and some inspiration. Thanks for tuning in to the SBDC's Business Blueprint. We look forward to you joining us again on another program. Until then, make sure that you turn your insights into success. We'll see you soon.
Behind every strong economy is a bold entrepreneur, and we're here to support them, island by island. On Ground Bahama, we've helped 486 entrepreneurs turn their dreams into thriving businesses. Through over $14.4 million in approved funding, the SBDC is strengthening Grand Bahama's economy by investing in its leading sectors: food and beverage, tourism, and fishing. Every business we support strengthens the economy, starting with yours. SBDC Bahamas.
REACH is a voluntary support organization for persons, for families challenged by autism and related challenges. And we try to advocate for services that are not yet available, And over the years, we've advocated for a number of services, and they have become available. We try to offer support to new parents, and also, as you know, at the moment we're in the process of doing training, and we've always actually focused on training for teachers, because really there's no medical cure for autism.
Autism is a developmental disability that primarily impacts communication, social functioning, and behavior. Any or one of those three components will impact daily learning, independent functioning, and a varying range of cognitive ability. Autism can be noticed at early stages of life. Primarily, doctors and physicians alike will start giving diagnoses around the age of 2.
My son's name is Cole. Cole is currently 14 years old. When Cole was born, as he got into the later ages, 2 or 3 years old, again, as most parents would say, you just notice something's not correct.
My son, Caleb Cornel, he's almost 5 now. He was born at 24 weeks, so he had some little challenges there as he continues his progress. He was in the hospital, say, about 3 months. So the doctor said there would be challenges with him.
I have 2 children. My youngest son, Obasi, he's 3 years old and he's autistic. He is non-verbal. He has no words at all.
He had no motor skills. He couldn't hold a pencil, couldn't crawl sideways, would always fall down, breaking wrists, breaking ankles. So we went through a lot of therapy with that.
Personally, it hasn't been a challenge per se, because we know that, we accepted that there will be delays with him. So we just took it as a go. We just treat him as basically as a normal child, at least to see if that will help him, at least to progress, do the stuff that some normal kids would.
We found out that something was not quite right with Obasi, probably around the time that he was 9 months to a year. He seemed not to be interested in just things that children that age would be interested in, toys that made noise, the television.
Eventually, with Cole, we got introduced to REACH, and we heard about the organization, and we joined them on a walkathon. And that was the first time I met the members of REACH, and then right away I was invited to come on to the committee, and here I am now president about 4 years later.
Since meeting up with Mario and the REACH family, it really has been like a breath of fresh air to try to understand how best we could reach him and what tools we could use to help him along in his life journey, because as parents, all you want for your child is that he is well adjusted and that he can handle the things that are going to come toward him. And I think now we have all the help that we need and all the support, and we're just trying to do our best.
Autism is going to look a little different because it does not have a physical component to it, whereas someone who has a physical disability or is blind or deaf, where you can easily identify and diagnose the disability. But as kids with autism get older, it's going to be easier to identify because the social component is going to be a much stronger variable between interacting with their peers, interacting with adults, interacting with caregivers.
The REACH workshop that I participated in was introduced to me by one of the parents at my school whose son had been suspicious to us. We weren't sure what was happening, but I think the parents and I and the teachers were suspicious that something was going on.
There are verbal and non-verbal students. They have different characteristics. So as the teacher, you would want to try and zoom in on those behaviors that you can more so work efficiently with that student individually.
I'm so happy that I went because I gained a lot of information as far as how to
to treat a child, the kind of patience that I need to have, the kind of awareness that I need to have to help these children. Although, like I said, they're not necessarily diagnosed, the techniques that I learned could be applied to normal functioning children as well as children who are displaying signs of autism.
The current training that we have in conjunction with REACH and the Ministry of Education is primarily for parents and teachers who serve kids with disabilities. What these trainings have blossomed into from 4 years ago when we only had 15 parents, and now we have over 75 parents in this training, it's blossomed not only into an instructional place and providing information and strategies, but it's also developed into a support group and networking group for all of these parents who have similar types of needs and similar types of challenges.
I would highly recommend it, especially for the seminars. But honestly, I would say just take it as it goes, because it isn't, you're gonna have challenges, you know. Having a special kid, having an autistic kid, it isn't easy, and it is gonna take a lot from you. So you have to take it as it goes. You have to take those little breaks sometimes and say, you know what, let me just take this time away, but and just go back at it, because it's a long-term process. It doesn't change overnight, or you have to take it as it goes.
My husband and I, we've both learned a lot from Mike and the sessions that he's held over the last few weeks.
Mike seems to be well-informed, and he seems to have a wealth of knowledge.
Mike McGinty has been an awesome in at least enlightening us on how we are to treat our children, how do we are to be consistent in training them and educating them.
He seems to be extremely patient, which is something that I think that I took away, that it's important for when dealing with a child who has special needs to just be extremely patient, because the child is really not at fault, and it's important for us as the adults to help the child. And Mike seems to really have a handle on that.
I think one of the best things about it is meeting people in the same place that you are in. People who understand the language that you're talking, because sometimes when you're surrounded by people who have typical children, it really is difficult to explain some of your frustrations and to get the kind of information you need. But with REACH, and because everybody is trying to do the same thing, everybody is trying to get their children the help that they need and the families the support that they need, you're like you're home. You can understand each other, and you can play off the strengths and weaknesses of each other.
They're all going through similar but different challenges. There might be a parent that has a child with severe cognitive ability and has deficits across the board and ranging from communication and social, where it might be a parent of a child with Asperger's, which is a form of autism, where the only component they might be addressing would be a social component. But coming together, they do have one common denominator, and that's they're trying to raise, to the best of their ability, a child with autism, which can be a significant challenge without properly understanding what the best course is.
And for that person who's listening, you might not have an autistic child now, but somewhere in your generation it will happen. The chances are, the percentages are very real. And you probably know somebody right now that has an autistic child. And that just shows you how epidemic the numbers are. So that's the way moving forward. Become aware, go online, Autism Speaks, Autism Anything, and just learn about what it is.